everyone. Welcome to Living with Autism by Michael Lettman. Today, we'll be talking about my second year fall semester, as I'm still attending the Melissa Riggio Higher Education program. And look who's back with us to interview me, Frank Laskowitz. Hey, Frank.
Hey, hello everyone, and I'm so happy to be back. Thank you, Michael. It's been great to be back on your YouTube channel. I missed it.
It's great to have you back, Frank. Now, before we begin, I would like to say this. Once again, another full quarantine semester by the coronavirus pandemic. But of course, I had to get used to it. And for the first time ever, I had to attend my KCC classes remotely, along with using a new feature called Blackboard. Frank, care to explain that, please?
Yeah, so Blackboard is a system that allows professors to communicate with students, right? Kind of like a Blackboard, but online. And professors can upload their grades, their assignments, course content, any material related to the class, as well as allowing students to communicate between each other and the professor.
And if I remember, our program had to make CUNY accounts so we can use Blackboard.
That is correct.
Okay, let's get started with the interview. Please read me my questions.
Well, 1 to 10, 1 being horrible and 10 being the best. How much have you enjoyed your fall semester?
I have to say a 7. I did get to enjoy some remote experience, but I still wish my second year fall semester was in person, but I had to get used to the pandemic.
Well, that's great. I'm really glad that you were able to, adapt and overcome these struggles. So, what were the Kingsborough classes you took during the semester?
Well, on my fall semester schedule, I had 2 KCC classes that I had to attend remotely. One class was training with weights, and the other one was music and movement.
Oh, those seem like great classes. I'm curious to ask you about those later in the interview. I'm curious though, have you had any other classes besides Kingsborough classes?
Actually, yes. On my fall semester schedule, I also had working on my personal project with a mentor named Franklin, and I appreciated his help. And there was this other class called It's My Future. Now, I don't know if it was the class itself or a nice mentor who was teaching in that class, but I'm afraid I don't remember much during that class. But I do remember this. I've had a good time. And there was this other activity known as recreational activity at the end of Friday. Right before dismissal, our program has a little recreation time for ourselves after doing a whole lot of work on our class assignments. Whew, even our mentors deserve that.
Wow, it seems like you had a very busy fall semester schedule. I mean, I'm curious with those classes, your Kingsborough classes, how much time did you have on your schedule to work on your assignments?
On my fall semester schedule, I've had dedicated scheduled time for assignments and study to work on my class assignments with my mentors, and trust me, I really needed it.
That's very good. I'm glad to hear that you were able to have this dedicated time specifically for your assignments. It's very important. That's what I love about the Melissa Riggio program. So, can you please share your experience about the weightlifting class?
Training with weights, of course. Well, I've had quizzes to work on. I've had blog assignments to work on. I've had discussion post assignments to work on, along with this. You see, during training with weights class, it wasn't actually a virtual class to go to. Our professor just sends those assignments in on Blackboard, and I work on them with my mentor. And because there were a lot of those assignments and a lot of research to do, I ended up suffering stress one time from thinking about it too much. I was afraid of failing. I was afraid if I wasn't going to complete them in time, and that caused me to suffer with a headache and getting a little sick. And I was grateful to my mentors and you, Frank, for helping me calm down.
Well, I'm glad you were able to overcome that stress. You know, it's not easy. It's definitely hard and challenging, but you were able to do it. So you should definitely think of that as a big stepping stone. So, is it true though? I saw in your fall schedule you took a early childhood education class. Is it true that you wanted to attend early childhood education since you started the Melissa Riggio program?
Actually, yes. And I'm afraid I don't remember why my mentors wouldn't let me be in one of those classes from the very beginning, since that subject was related to one of my interests, which is children. Why I couldn't get in, Frank, during my first year?
Well, I'll be happy to explain that. When students first come into the Melissa Riggio program, we tend to kind of get the core classes out the way, the main ones like English, history. So that way it frees up for the rest of the years. You can take those classes of your interest. You can dedicate all the time to those classes that a student really, really wants. And you don't have to feel rushed because, history is a lot, reading can be a lot. And then, makes your class like early childhood education class may be a little bit more stressful. So to ease some of that stress, we separated uh, every semester, and it paid off.
Understood. Except during my second year, just when I finally got in a class in that subject, coronavirus pandemic had to happen, and I had to attend my class remotely, not in person. I was like frustrated back then.
I definitely understand your frustration. The whole program, had to move online, but you have made such a huge progress since then. You've been a lot more happier. You've come such a long way. You never miss a day. You're always motivated to learn, and that is huge. You're building up your confidence, your resilience, and you should be very proud of how far you've come. And we keep talking about this early childhood education. I'm curious, can you please share your experience about the music and movement class?
Of course. And I'm sure I still would have been happy to be in that class in person, since I would have gotten to meet the professor of that class that I was attending remotely, Professor Susan Carpenter. I think she's like an advocate for people with disabilities, especially for children. She wrote a book. I wish I had to download a version of it in order to do her assignments. And while I was reading her book with one of my mentors, yeah, I really enjoyed that book. A lot of music activities along with her progress of wanting to help children with disabilities. She went through a lot, according to that book. And she has learned a lot as well, which is why I was grateful to be in her class. And from what I've learned from her, we've done some music activities. I've got to learn other kinds of music meant for children, or can be for children, like this one. Bow, wow, wow. Whose dog art thou? Little Tommy Tucker's dog. Bow, wow, wow. Just those lines, and it's an actual song. I liked it. Also, I got to interact with my classmates. Oh, if only I could have got to meet them in person. But I still got to interact with them during class and during the discussion post via Blackboard. Professor Carpenter really appreciated me getting back to them on Blackboard. I keep sending good words to them, especially during our assignments. And now that they got back to me, Professor Carpenter noticed. She liked it.
That's really good. Seems like you had a very good experience despite being online. And, it just shows, right, that you continue to adapt and overcome all these obstacles that are thrown your way. Just out of curiosity, how was the midterm? How did you deal with it? Like, what was that like for you?
At first, I thought it was difficult, but at the end, I'm glad I got to enjoy it. Especially since you were involved, Frank. You didn't mind letting me communicate with one of your daughters. I got to sing some songs with her. I got to communicate with her. I've gotten to do an activity with a child. And I'm grateful to you and your family for that chance.
That's really good. I'm glad to hear that. It was definitely a good experience for everyone involved. And I'm happy to know that, you're moving on to your next semester, which will hopefully have a little bit more of that early childhood education classes. Have you attended any Zoom events during the semester?
Actually, yes, I've attended lots of Zoom events, and I would like to share some of them with you. One of the events was provided by Professor Susan Carpenter. I got to meet a special ed class in the UK, and I got to do some musical activities with them. Yeah, we sing some music together. And I have to admit, I'm glad I got to meet a special ed class from the United Kingdom. And I also got to meet other advocates and some new people, like Professor Jeremy Sawyer, who is also from Kingsborough. I'm glad I got to meet him since I got to had a conversation with him. Also, there was Professor Eric Kant. I also had a meeting with him as well. And there was this very nice person that I got to meet, Margot Cole, who is a disability advocate and the creator of Crip Video Productions, whose mission is to increase understanding of disability through storytelling. Her website is cripvideoproductions.com. Plus, she was the very first person who didn't mind being a guest blogger on my project's website. To my subscribers, if you would please visit my project's website through my project's channel, you'll get to see some of the guest blog posts that Margot Cole has been working on.
Very good, Michael. It seems like you had a really good time this past fall semester. You had a lot of, ups and downs, but you definitely had a lot of accomplishments. So you should be super proud of this past semester, and you should look forward to, your spring semester with high hopes and lots of smiles.
Understood, Frank. Final statement. At one of the Zoom events that I was attending, thanks to Professor Carpenter, who overheard my request to look for remote work/internships, she found an opportunity for me, which I'll eventually be trying out. How do you feel about that, Frank?
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. This is amazing. I can't wait to hear about how well you do. And this is great news.
You said it. To my subscribers, you'll learn about the details during my second year winter semester. And I would like to give my thanks to Professor Carpenter. I'm glad I got to meet her, even though I wish it was in person. And I'm glad I got to meet the other professors from Kingsborough, Professor Sawyer and Professor Kant. I'm really grateful to have communicated with them. I'm also glad to have met Margot Cole, who is now a guest blogger on my project's website. And finally, my thanks to you, Frank, for interviewing me once again.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you for having me on your YouTube channel. It's always great to be here.
Okay, my subscribers, please look forward to more of Living with Autism by Michael Lettman. That's all.
And if you like what you saw, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Goodbye, everyone.